interesting in a kind of weird position. And ooh, I have an idea. Never mind, the idea didn't work, so what am I saying? Is it filming? Welcome back to another episode of Recreating Recipes from Culinary School. Today is the third episode. Today is the third episode, and I will be making fruit tarts. I'm really curious about how today's episode is going to go because honestly, I am not a huge fan of pâte sucrée. So for our fruit tart, it's going to be pâte sucrée and it's going to be a pastry cream. For me, I never really liked pâte sucrée because I always felt like it was too tough and the flavor wasn't good. But to be completely honest, I also haven't made it in years. So I'm curious to see how I'm gonna feel about it today. Actually, even though I'm not a big fan of desserts, eclairs and fruit tarts are actually one of my go-tos. I do enjoy them quite a bit. So if I do see it and I am in a dessert mood, then I will try it. The recipe is, oh, I forgot the milk. I feel like maybe this is gonna be a reoccurring thing that I am constantly forgetting something. Like it's in a cute chemistry measuring cup. Okay, so what was I saying? Pastry cream. Oh, so the only thing about this recipe, which I know traditionally with a pastry cream, you don't add cornstarch. I think some recipes do have it, obviously, which is why I have it here. That's what we learned in school. I'm curious to see if anyone else has thoughts on it, or if you have had experience with making it with a starch or without a starch, and if there's a method that you prefer. I have also made a simple syrup here. Normally you would use, like, you would thin out a jam or something, or use the glaze on top of the fruit. So that it has that really nice shine. I will be adding these recipes in the description today. A lot of them are actually from this book that we had from culinary school. So because it's a book, I'm just gonna reference the book and put the recipes out. So if you're interested, please try it out. And if you like them, let me know, or leave a comment and let me know what you thought about it. So let's go ahead and get started. And I am gonna go plug my KitchenAid because I once again realized that it's not plugged in. Go ahead and add our butter, salt, and lemon zest. Then I am going to sift my powdered sugar. The recipe did say that the egg needs to be beaten, so I'm just going to do that really quick. Okay, we're going to turn our mixer on, add in our egg. Go ahead and add the eggs and the butter are still a little separated, but that's okay. Sift. There is still some flour on the side of the bowl, but that is okay because we still have more flour that we need to add in. Every time I do this, I tell myself I don't need to take the attachment off, but 95% of the time, it's usually a lot easier if I had taken the paddle attachment off. Okay, Second mix. Oh, my KitchenAid. Please don't mind my KitchenAid sounds. I need to get it replaced. The dough looks pretty good. I'm gonna give it one more scrape and one last mix. There's still some dough. Ooh, this smells really good though. Huh, maybe I will like it. We're gonna give it one more mix and we will. That's good. I'm good with that. Okay, so usually right after it's made, it's too sticky to roll. So if my memory serves me correctly, I'm supposed to wrap this in plastic wrap. I meant to wrap this up, throw it in the fridge, because this is way too sticky if I try to roll it out right now. And it is super soft. I'm really interested in how this is gonna be. I'm just pressing it here so that it's easier to roll out later. I want to say maybe it's about like a ½ inch thick. Okay, yeah. Maybe because I've been into super like beige colors lately, I've really been enjoying all the doughs. Well, I guess this is more yellow. Golden? I don't know. Anyway, so I'm going to throw this in the fridge. We're going to let it set, and while it is cooling down, we are going to make the pastry cream. For our pastry cream, before I go ahead and run over to the stove, I'm going to get half of the recipe ready. I got real tired all of a sudden. Okay, so first we add in our egg yolks, and then we are going to add in half of the sugar. I want to say that's about half. The recipe does measure them out separately, and then we're going to whisk the sugar and the egg yolks together. Okay, so just color difference, airier, lighter, and then we'll go ahead and add the cornstarch in. I do always like to add the egg yolks and the sugar in together first, just because you do have to mix it quite a bit, and the cornstarch will get everywhere. So I'm gonna set this off to the side. We're gonna add in the milk, our vanilla bean paste, and our sugar. We're just gonna give that a nice stir. And then we have our unsalted butter here, and the butter will go in at the very end. So let's go over to the stove. I really was trying to figure out the most optimal way to film this, but the stove is in a kind of weird position, and ooh, I have an idea. Never mind, the idea didn't work, so we're just gonna have to look at the stove, which is the most important part anyway. We'll turn on our heat. I'm just keeping this at a medium-high heat. We are just gonna bring this to a simmer, and then I'm gonna slowly pour it back over into that egg yolk mixture over there. I'm gonna stop stirring because I do want to check to see when it comes to a simmer. And my energy just went like poof. So I'm feeling a little tired. It is not quite at a simmer. Oh, now it's at a simmer. As I was speaking. Oh, this smells so good. I have a towel set down so the bowl doesn't move while I'm mixing this in. Add the milk on the side of the bowl. I'm going to need to use a wet towel so it doesn't move. There we go. Okay, and I'm just gonna keep adding and mixing at the same time. Oh my god, this smells so good. The pot, and we're going to go back on the stove. So this is what your mixture should look like. And back to the stove. We are gonna turn this back on. I do like to do this on a low medium heat. And I'm just gonna constantly keep whisking. Get these little bits of, what's it called? Not the loofah. What's it called? Gosh, I keep losing my English words. Dish sponge. So we have our pastry cream here. I am so upset right now. I didn't put my phone on Do Not Disturb, so I got a nationwide text message which stopped my video recording, and it didn't film me finishing the pastry cream. I'm so bad. I guess I will just verbally explain what I did by the dishes. Isn't there's like that game, no, that TV show where they guess based off of the dishes? I don't know. Anyway, I strained the pastry cream. I used the spatula to kind of just gently push it down. Man, and I'm hungry too, so I'm like double upset about it. I threw it in the fridge for it to cool down. This is our custard. I actually forgot to add the butter in, and I added it in after, so that was like another funny little bit there. We're just having one of those days, I guess. While I strained it into this bowl, we covered it with plastic film. Hi, once again. I'm gonna finish filming this tomorrow. I just got hit with this wave of super low energy. Maybe I'll finish it if I'm feeling better in an hour or so, but as of right now, I think my body needs to rest. I did sprain my back a couple weeks ago, so today my back is bothering me a little bit more than it has been. So I'm gonna rest a little bit. If I don't finish this today, I will definitely finish it tomorrow. Hi, it is the next day. Yesterday, I just wasn't able to get myself to finish it. I was just so exhausted for whatever reason. I am still feeling that a little bit today, but I did want to finish the tart, so let's go ahead and do that. I pulled out the dough from the fridge just so it can soften a little bit, but I don't want it to soften too much. We are going to throw it back in the fridge before, or I am, but it's going to go back in the fridge before baking. So I'm going to go grab my rolling pin. Okay, so I have I don't know if you can see it from here. I have 3 different tart shell sizes. I believe this one is probably a 4-inch, and then this one is a 6-inch. Yeah, the recipe says that it can fill 2 8-inch. So I think I'll at least be able to do 2 instead of doing a medley of fruit on top. I'm going to do 1 fruit per tart. So I'm going to do a grape one, and I'm going to do a plum one. I think the fun thing about this entire series for me is that I'm remaking stuff that I haven't made in a long time. It's giving me the opportunity to kind of be a student again, or the opportunity to be bad at something again. I've really been enjoying it. Is that weird? Let me know what you think about that. But okay, let's roll out the dough before it gets too soft. It's already pretty soft here. Put some flour. I did clean the surface for anyone who's concerned about that, or maybe no one's concerned about that. Who knows? This dough actually is much softer than I remember it being in general. I don't know why. So if you ever make a recipe from someone who doesn't live in the same country as you, and you notice that it's slightly different, it's probably because the ingredients you're getting are also different. Ooh, this is a bit soft. I think I waited a little too long. Let's see if I can salvage this though. I'm trying not to use too much flour, so that's why I'm patting it on. I think that's the thickness of what I would like it to be. I didn't make it this way in culinary school. This is something how I learned after culinary school, where you just lift the dough, place it on top. But I actually stopped doing that a couple years ago. It seems to sit a lot better in the pan versus placing it over. Sorry, I'm just making sure that this dough doesn't get too soft. It is already way too soft. Can you hear my cat? Tigger Troy, I'm making a video. I would appreciate it if you weren't so loud. Thank you. Boy, this is way too soft. Okay, What I'm going to do is I'm going to place the bases in, and then I have to throw this back in the fridge because the dough, I let it sit out for way too long. But we are going to place these in. I think the small ones, I might have made the dough too thin, but let's leave it that way anyway and see what happens. I am going to re-wrap this dough just because I do want it to be a bit firmer. So we'll reuse the plastic wrap. I'm going to throw that in here. I am pressing down into a rectangular shape. I will need it to be in strips. All right, so we'll throw that back in the fridge. Just so the same thing doesn't happen again, let's roll this dough out. This does feel a lot better cold when it's colder. Let's roll. Oops. I do remember with this dough, it's not as forgiving, so you aren't meant to use this too many times. Because if you do, it'll just keep making the dough tougher and tougher. So, yeah. Okay. I do want to just take a moment and really appreciate. Can you see all of those vanilla bean seeds and the lemon zest? Gorgeous. Ideally, you would want this in one strip, but this still works. If I do need multiple strips, I do make sure to overlap it so that when I push them together, that they'll remold into one strip. And once again. Oops. So for this part, normally people will put a piece of parchment down and they will put, baking beans. So usually any non-cooked bean. I really hate that. It really is truly so annoying to do it that way. So I always just score the bottom. There will be some portions that do bubble up. And if they do bubble up, I just push them down after I've baked them. To me, it's really not a big deal. It gets covered anyway. I'm gonna go ahead and throw this into the fridge, let it set, and then we will throw it in the oven. My neighbor brought me some plums. I'm actually gonna give this to them afterwards, so. The dough is cooled down enough, so I'm gonna take it out of the fridge so I can throw it in the oven. Into the oven. Let's see. Okay, so all the tarts are now out of the oven. I think they look pretty good. This one also, the large one also shrunk a little bit, but otherwise it held its shape. Yeah, so definitely when it's thicker, it holds its shape better. The tarts are out of the oven, or the shells are out of the oven, which, oh, these are cooled down. Oh, I could get started on these ones. Okay, let's do the small ones. The big one does need to cool down just a bit more. Oh, interesting. Interesting. So for whatever reason, when I did it this method, for the larger piece, it didn't stick. I don't know why. But, oh, I totally just broke it. But for the little ones, it was totally fine. Huh. I wonder why that is. Okay, so let's switch gears here. So I'm not a huge fan of pastry brushes, and I'm also not a huge fan of silicone brushes. Pastry brushes I don't like because the little hairs always come out, and then silicone brushes just don't work well, or at least I haven't found a way for silicone brushes that work well for me, just because the brush portions are so far from one another. This is actually a brush to use to clean coffee grinds. So I don't know, I wanted to just test it out. We'll see if it works well. I have my glaze here, and let's brush it on. Wait. I am happy with how my makeshift glaze turned out. Oh, okay, I like the way that worked. That worked well. I also wanted to just do a close-up really quick. If you see the difference between the glazed portion and the non-glazed portion. Yeah, golden leaf makes everything better. And you cannot tell me otherwise. Okay, so I need to throw these in the fridge before they get a little too warm. But thank you so much for joining me on another episode of Recreating Recipes from Culinary School. I had a lot of fun with this one. I hope you enjoyed it. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.